Action.
All right, yeah, action. Good evening, Road Advisory Committee, September 4th, 2024. Let's see, call to order, what time? It is 6:30 on the dot. Great. Bob, roll call?
Yep. Pat. Here. Ian. Yep. Jillian.
Right, present, yep,
And
present.
Carolyn, is she not coming?
No, she's at her 50th reunion.
Okay, and Chris, of course, we always put him down. And can't say Roy is not present anymore, right? Because he resigned. Okay. I think that's it.
Mhm. Has everybody read through the agenda, the packet?
Yep.
Approval of the agenda? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No, okay.
Okay.
That's pretty simple.
Yep.
Now it's time for public comments. And we have one in-person guest. David, would you like to say anything?
Yes, my name is David Klubeck, and I hope you'll see my face more often. I plan on attending and participating and being part of this team. I've submitted my application and hopefully it'll be well received and you'll be stuck with me for a little while. Thank you. 30 years in Scio Township.
Wow, really? You've been
Yes.
hiding, huh?
I've been hiding.
Busy with life. Oh, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks. Is this spelling the last name K-L-U-B-E-K?
EBC. Thank you.
Anyone online?
We've got a couple of people online. I'm not seeing any hands raised at the moment. Just check my phone to make sure that I'm not getting any messages about things not working, which I don't have. Yeah, Rob Patterson, if you'd like to talk, Rob.
We can hear you. Everything is working just perfectly. Well done. Huge endorsement for Mr. Klubeck. His wife is an absolute powerhouse. And so we're excited. And his resume was very impressive. And you have a chance here for an outstanding appointment. So all behind Mr. Klubeck.
Thank you.
Raises the question, where's your wife?
Thanks, Rob. And Pam, if you'd like to go next.
Thank you, Pam Boyd, Scio resident. I echo Rob's comments about Mr. Klubeck. I'm very, very excited to have him join this group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else or is?
That's it. That's all we've got.
Well, thank you. Communications and correspondence. The only one was the email thread between Roy and Will, so that's included that, and Roy. If you're, well, you're not online because we can't see you, but thank you to Roy for his service. His many years, just not on this committee, but in the past as well. And he's pretty busy, so he will be, his talents and skills will be, I'm sure, utilized somewhere else. He's still on the Parks Committee, am I correct?
And
Yeah.
he's offered in his note to help with whatever he can. So
Yeah.
his resignation note.
Oh, he resigned from Parks?
No,
just
I mean, sorry, you didn't say anything about his continuing help with RAC, and he's more than willing to do that in any way.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we can bother him for questions.
Exactly.
That's the plan.
Yeah, emails are a lot easier than, you know.
Sitting in meetings, yeah.
I think we can have Brian do that.
Me, David.
David, sorry.
It's 5 letters.
Sorry, David.
Yes.
You got your name wrong already. It's been a long week.
And it's Wednesday.
Yeah. And we have Monday off.
Yeah, that's
And it's still been a long week.
throws us off. The next, I was looking at the task and action list, and we could just include these separately in the agenda packet, but, I'm just gonna keep them on this list and as unfinished business, and we can check them off as we go. It'll just be so much easier, because that software is a pain. Anyway, so we can review the list and where we are, any updates and whatnot, and I included as much as possible that I could think of, and I know there's probably more that we can contribute. So just reviewing, September 9th newsletter submission deadline. I did talk with Mary, and it's going to be a full newsletter regarding the fire. They're really gonna focus on that and the promotion, well, not the promotion of the millage, because we can't do that, but the education of the millage. So she asked if we had anything pertinent, and I said, at this point, no, because the construction's been underway and everybody knows about Jackson Road, so I think we're caught up. The only thing I did request is, I know we have a seat open here, but there's some other committees and boards that we have open seats, or we will in the future. So encouraging people to apply, and then we can keep it on record, and then when we get to that point, we can reach out to them. So, but as far as RAC goes, but I wasn't sure, because we did have it on the list before as an for article ideas. So the next thing on the list is,
there anything we
I'm
can
sorry.
do that link roads and the fire? I mean,
I was
I
thinking
can't,
about that.
nothing comes to me, but we need good roads to get the fire.
Patrick, I drove down. Where was I? I delivered a kid to a friend's house the other day on one of the side streets off of West Liberty. And it's a private road, so it doesn't really apply, but the bushes and trees had grown in so far over the edge that it would be impossible to get a fire truck in and out of there at this point in time. That's the only thing I can think of that would tie us to fire, but maintenance of your road for public safety of the residents on the road.
It could just be a little blurb,
Mm-hmm.
a little box that
But
fits in the road.
I don't know that, we can promote the improvements, because they'll come looking to us for tree trimming costs, and that's not what we do.
No, but
So-
on private roads, they have to maintain them on their own, but the public roads as well, depending on, because there's something that came up recently that Chief Hood or Chief Brandon or Sears was talking about, and something's overgrown and they have to contact the homeowner or business owner to have it cut back. So we could have a reminder, just a little, how in the newsletter, how she has little blocks with
Yeah, that's what I'm
tidbits.
thinking.
So I will contact Mary tomorrow.
Is your right of way clear to allow the?
It's in everybody's interests.
It is, but it's one of those, nobody wants to have their forsythia cut back, so. How do you? But it was literally rushing my car as I came through, and I just thought, oh.
Well, and it scratches your car,
I would have dropped the kid off right there, then and there.
Well, I was thinking, because it was like 5 or 6 homes on this drive. Would you ever get a truck in and truck out?
Yeah, okay, I will contact Mary tomorrow.
The more we can keep the roads advisory committee in the public eye, I think, well, because we're coming into a point where we're gonna start trying to really promote a millage.
Yeah.
So we want to be more present in the room.
Yeah, instead of in the spring when everybody's complaining, that's really when we get our attention, but the more that people can maintain their areas, the better for everyone. The next on the list, unless there's any other ideas for road and culvert prioritization inventory list, whatever we have been calling that, I don't know. So the northeast.
Yeah, we called it prioritization, didn't we? Road prior.
Right, yeah.
So,
It's easier to read than to say. So Roy had finished the northeast and the northwest, so now we're kind of stuck, like, what do we do now? Who contacted Roy?
Ian,
Did you hear back?
Yes. I'm trying to remember what the context was though.
that was a month ago.
No, it
That was a
just
month
this
ago,
week,
your
wasn't
time,
it?
Ian.
No, I wrote to Roy this week for what? Let me look. I'm,
Okay,
yeah.
well, and maybe, does anybody remember? Because Roy explained where he received, where he got that information, and then, I don't
It's
have,
from the road commission.
from the road committee, was it the website? Or did he go to the website and then
I
list
think
them?
it's the website.
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's the website.
Okay, what about the length of the road? Did he do that on his own?
I think he said that they had a database and he had spoken with someone.
Somebody who's
access
probably used to
information.
work for him.
I did.
Well, we called or I emailed Adam Lape and said, "If we're looking for this, how do we find it?"
Yeah, and also, the front desk, Erin, I think is her name, I'm sure, but maybe Roy can do the other two segments for us. If he's open to that, could you ask Ian?
I did ask him about,
Oh, that's what you're looking for.
whether or not he'd made any changes to the spreadsheet. Because I wanted to know who's got the master copy.
Yes,
So right now, I don't think he did, but I'm saying, trying to see if he responded, but I'm not seeing it, so. I will contact Roy and ask.
the subcommittee previously with, Patrick, it was you, Roy, and Bob Walsh.
Mhm.
We have a copy of your work from back then.
We have copies of the draft that we did,
Yeah, do you still have that?
probably.
Okay, if we could, maybe that will help. I don't know, it's been a while since we looked at that,
Yeah,
but having the segments and then the roads and broken down by the length and the type of road, gravel or paved.
Yep.
Well, I guess for now, we really can't do much with it until we find out more and then who to assign it to.
How's he doing, basically?
well, either Roy is gonna finish it or let him tell us
How to do
the
it?
resources so we can do it.
If you could take that task on,
Yeah,
okay.
it's probably what we want to do. We would like to have that ability in-house, so to speak.
Yes, which brings us to the GIS system. And I need to talk with OHM or Chris, if you could do that, OHM and, so the utility department has their own GIS or they're implementing it or something, but if they can do it, we can do it.
Sure.
So how do we do it?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that because I know utilities has been in discussion. I just haven't been privy to them and who they've been in contact with, but I'm happy to insert myself and ask them about GIS and layers with roads, so.
So, yeah, and I guess we could, I think we've talked about this before, but that system, we can manipulate to what we need. Or, right? Other than using it on the front end, I don't know about the back end. But it would, whatever Roy had created, put that in there, we're gonna have the history in there, and then maybe there's a way that it can rotate based on, I don't know. We'll have to get to that point, but.
I'm confident Ian can figure it out.
So
Well-
just for clarification, would I get with OHL we're looking at getting layers with that information of those quadrants.
Well, yeah,
that
well,
we're-
we have to, first of all, how do we, because there's going to be a cost to the GIS.
Mhm.
And we're gonna need, just kind of a ballpark, like what would it take for OHM to set that up for us? Or do we go out for bid, or can we do it ourselves? How can we learn? All those questions of how to create this. I don't know, because I'm just assuming and coming up with questions, but
So I think we need to go back and reorient ourselves to what we wanted to accomplish first. I don't remember very well.
accomplish with,
With OHM and the GIS system.
well, so the GIS system would be, how we've been using Excel files.
Right.
So the GIS would have that instead, and anybody could access it. I mean, well, they could read it, but, there would only be certain people that could manipulate it, I guess. You want to use those words, but it would be in a system, and then it would be stored in the cloud, and then when we all leave,
Mhm.
pass it on to the next, committee.
Mhm.
And we just had, it was Manor Custarian that reviewed our policies and procedures and our internal controls, and they had a report for us at the last meeting. And the one thing that Scio does is we use a lot of paper for everything, and they are suggesting to go, using technology, and then it would be stored and safe and secure. So this would be another example.
What else are we using GIS for?
Just utilities that
Or is there a way that I can poke, see what it does? I mean, is it,
with the county uses it countywide, right? Chris, is
Yes.
that,
There's a Washington County GIS system with layers that you can use, yeah. And that's why I'm really inquiring about what type of layers do we want with the roads, because it'll give you aerial maps, it'll give you easements, it'll give you, it just depends on what kind of layers you want.
but then it also, there's a way. It's not just maps, you can, I have to look at it. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know what the right term is. So if we have like this list here, it would still be able to show us the list.
just like,
And then we would also be able to look at the map of it, right?
Oh, yeah, I think it can do those
Okay,
capabilities, yeah.
so if you go to Washington County, I know soil and erosion is an easy way to get to the map. I know there's other departments,
Chris
or
is
the
gonna find-
GIS system, I
Chris is gonna find it, right?
Well, it says on the website, the GIS program creates, maintains, and analyzes county geospatial data and develops maps and applications to present this data to users. So the question is, beyond maps, what are the applications?
Wait, where are you?
I am looking at the Washington County GIS
Oh,
site.
there you go.
So obviously there is the mapping site, which is the one that, as a person I use the most often, but is there access to the data behind it?
And I guess that's what Chris is gonna look into for us.
Yeah.
It says geospatial.
It could also give you data on the culverts, and it could give you data on when the roads were last maintained and what roads are paved, what roads are dirt, all kinds of details about the specifics of each road and the lengths of those of those different components.
That's what we need. Every once in a while, the big guy chimes in.
I call it the big
Watching
voice,
us.
the big voice from above, is what I call it.
That's right. Here you go.
Map layers, historic districts, drains, environmental parcel features, buildings, floodplain, natural features. Got even these political districts, so it's got a lot, the aerial photos. If you're using it, just depending on what layer you want, do I think they could add like the quadrants in there? Yeah,
So would it,
I think OHM could do that, yes.
with the utility department, is it? do we have our own GIS subscription or is it connected to the county? How does that work? That's what we need to
I
find out.
suspect it's separate,
It's
but I
separate,
don't know the
okay.
details, because the county, this is a public one where what they're doing is probably specifically for Scio Township's utilities, you know, their water and sewer district.
Let's see if we can piggyback on.
You have to sign into it.
For the county, you don't, but there might be there. Oh, I don't know what that is. Washington County GIS portal. It said GIS portal, but I didn't see that.
Well, if you're in maps, it doesn't require it.
Right.
Oh,
Maybe it's
so there's
this.
other areas that are off, not public?
Yeah. let's see if that- Yeah, keep scrolling down, see if it gives some. Just click. I didn't wear my reading glasses, so I can barely see this thing right now. It's like a whole- Almost got it. Yeah.
Base URL, here you go. This is probably it.
Yeah, I just went to the old one right there, that's it. It'll take you.
I'm gonna leave. Gonna leave
So
that.
Jillian, while they're fishing around, I sent
Yeah, give me
a
a second.
note to
Yeah,
Bob
I'm just clicking
Stice,
on it.
EA meeting on
Okay.
Monday
And then go,
night,
and if you go over here,
and
go to
requested that
layers,
we
change map layers, and you put whatever layer you want.
I have a bookmark that
to
for
come
a whole
in,
different reason.
have a
Yeah.
collaborative
I figured it might be the
discussion
same.
Okay.
about budgeting roads,
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
he's agreed to do that, so.
Please.
The meeting starts at noon. We've got to go through adoption of the agenda and public comment as well. So I would say, depending on if you want to be there for the meeting or tune in. Well,
He's like, always change. It's like, okay.
Yeah, sure, I'll be here at noon, so. Is it a large agenda?
I have not seen
You
it.
haven't seen it, okay.
I anticipate I'll have it tomorrow, so I can let you.
Yeah, okay, it's, yeah, we're only Wednesday here, thrown off by the whole holiday week. Well, thank you, yeah, I have it written down, and Bob, I emailed, and we're still on. I figure you're gonna be there anyway, but,
Indeed.
well, okay, while you're,
That's homework for me.
okay,
Oh.
homework. Going on, so we need to begin the budget. We don't have money, but what we could do is create a list of what's the important roads and how much they're going to, a ballpark estimate. And go from there and we'll see if, there's general fund or whatever. But I think it's important that we keep it going and, the worst thing that could happen is a no, but, we need to have something in the budget. Speaking of the budget, we have to, if nothing else, we have to make sure, the culvert, we received grants for those 3 culverts, but only 2 grants were covered this year. We have one more, or, 2 culverts were covered under the grants this year, and then we have one more, and we have to make sure we put that into the budget. And I think it's 50,000. I have to double check, but
Sounds about right. I don't remember.
yeah, and more than likely, well, we don't have the money for it, but the general fund will definitely cover that because we did commit to those grants. But in the future, one of the, we have the roads list, but we also should have a list of culverts that will eventually have to be replaced, and we need to put money aside and make sure our ballot language includes not just roads, but culverts.
There was a list on the Washington County Road Commission. I don't know what they call them, spring road update or something that listed several culverts that were in terrible condition, and then there was poor, and then there was good, and then there was.
These are in Scio.
In fact, under our road prioritization inventory list, the inventory list, we do have culverts on there. So we probably should put it under the 4 quadrants. Maybe at the bottom of each quadrant, we could have culverts that wherever they are, crossroads or whatnot. So the history, so next meeting we'll begin the budget. They're trying to have us do this early so we can, if there's any issues later on in the season, our budget ends, or our fiscal year ends March 31st, and then April 1st it begins, but we have a long process with all the departments submitting their information and then going over and making sure that we have the money and whatnot. So the sooner that we have ours ready, the better for the township. So we'll begin that next month. But then it goes back to, I guess we're gonna have to look at the last 10 years of the roads that we have improved, but then also the roads that we know.
Need help now?
Yeah, over, like, Craig Road, Wagner. It's east of Wagner, there's that section of Craig Road, and then there's the ravine, and on the other side is Craig Road. Well, at one point, the township had both of those sides of Craig Road. They improved the very east, Craig Road, but not the west side, I guess, but which is also east of Wagner. It's a little confusing, but driving down there a couple of times, the trees have grown up real close and the road is terrible. I mean, I have a truck and it scares me to go over this. I have to go very slow. So, Adam Lape, I brought this up at the last, when we were, doing the road agreement list, and he says, oh, you want to be careful with that neighborhood because they want to keep their trees and blah, blah, blah. And there's no way that we could get the equipment in unless we take down some of these trees. So he suggested that we speak with some of the residents there and see if they're open to having that road improved. It would only be gravel, but it's gonna take some work to get these big trees out.
And Roy had a big discussion with us about part of the reason the gravel roads get so bad is that the trees overshadow the roads. And they don't get proper air circulation and they stay wet. Craig Road's on this, so we have a Washington County Road Commission Scio Pacer map, primary and local paved roads, the map with the green and the yellow and the red that was given to us in May.
But those are paved?
But it shows Craig, this is primary and local paved roads, but Craig Road isn't paved and it shows, wow, that's really odd.
No, it's definitely not paved.
So it says paved and local, so I guess perhaps they consider.
Does it show any other road? What about like Blueberry Lane? Does it show that just as a local road? Cause it's gravel.
Words don't fit into this, but yes, it's there. Blueberry's too long a name to fit into this snarl of little.
Oh, I
roads,
see
but
where
there
it
it is.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they're all red, meaning poor condition. We
Well-
had this, I don't remember if it was part of a road commission presentation or if it came off of. I've got it in my notes from May of this year.
Could you email that to the committee, please? Interesting. Well, I'm sure we won't have a problem coming up with some roads that need improving.
I'm just saying, the more ammunition, the more justification we can give the board as to why we're doing what we're doing. And if you can say this, the road commission concurs, here's the map.
And we can use the 10-year township wide and look back to see some of those, like every 5 years and we can pick out a couple of them as well. I think if we kept it like $400,000 and then we would get the matching grant, that would be 500,000. We could get quite a few roads, and I think that we could find that in the general fund, maybe. I mean, even if we just did couldn't even, let's say they say, no, not 400,000, but what about 300,000? Anything, just so we can keep up, or at least. The history of, Linda, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. You're gonna email the map.
I'm doing that right now.
And David, I will, anything that comes to us, you're not on the email thread yet, however Christie sets it up, I'll just forward things to you. Oh, do you wanna?
Forward it to me as well. I'd like to write your email down and give it to me after. the meeting. I can just-
Actually, it's in his application. Which, I'm sorry, I didn't black that out in the, didn't even think about it until reading through it today here. Great.
Thank you.
So moving on to the history of maintenance, improvement creation, Caroline volunteered for that, and I will be meeting with her on September 11th. I have a file that she can begin with, and then we'll meet at the township hall and I'll show her where to look and she can begin with that. And we'll probably have to, maybe take the two segments we have in Excel, Excel format, give those to her and then she can plug in the dates.
That might help guide the budget discussion as well. If there's anything that's obvious in there that hasn't been touched in a long time.
Or ever.
Yeah.
They had to create the road at one point,
If I remember right, one important part of this effort is to identify public and private and the status of the private roads, right?
Well, the private,
We
yeah,
still want to know what's happened with them. when they were
yes,
Created.
that will be, I think, yeah, we'll have her work on the public first because, it's a lot of, it's a lot. And then the private's gonna be a little trickier, because she's gonna really have to go through files and Fran can give some information to her. And we can also go through, board packets because the private roads have to come in front of us for creation and or variances, so. The special assessment nuts and bolts. I am so sick of that thing and we're only on the public. Anyway. Read through it again last night and there's little typos or whatever, cleaned all of those up. There was just, we're almost there, but now the flow chart needs to be revised. So printed that off the nuts and bolts, the public for Bob and he'll make those changes. So no, you don't, I know when you're panicking, like it took me an hour to do this in the flow chart. No. This is, that was only making the font bigger. You should be able to
That was
remove.
painful.
Okay.
It changes the shape of the chart when you make the font bigger because the objects get larger.
Yes, but
And
we'll
my
be
real-
eliminating.
My real estate to work was like,
Well, is it gonna eliminate boxes or add boxes, do you know?
No, I don't think, I think it's gonna eliminate because there's some duplicates
good.
in there, possibly.
That'll help if it eliminates.
yeah.
Yeah,
But if I have to add,
They're gonna
Um,
become
it's
two
gonna get
pages.
smaller.
We'll figure it out.
yeah, you just have to make sure everything's in order because,
Yeah.
I think when Caroline and I met, we were talking about the public and private. So when I went through the public again, I'm like, that's a private road thing. And I think that it was kind of mixed up a little bit. So I cleaned it all up and, this should be
This is just the public flow chart.
just the public. So once that is finished, then I can send the whole thing over to legal. I did email Mariah the two questions that we had, the percentage, which I just asked her, because that's a board decision, the percentage, even though we have the 51% by statute, but anything above that. But I asked her if she knows or could give us a recommendation based on other townships and what they do. because she is a municipal attorney with Pittsfield and some other. So I asked her that question, and then also the question regarding if a person or if a parcel is in hasn't paid their taxes, do they still get a signature or on the petition? But I haven't heard back from her, but I know there's some other things she's dealing with for the township. So we're just waiting on that. And then after that is complete, it will go in front of the board, and then we can start on the private. Or we've already started, but hopefully finish that soon.
It's a much shorter law. It should go more, a lot easier. We've been through this before.
Yeah. And then the policies. But I think we'll wait on that. Because that's gonna be more, a lot more detail. The Township Improvement Revolving Fund, I have emailed a couple times saying, can we clean this up and finish it? And they keep coming back with, we're looking into it. But I'm not gonna give it up until, because we're going to use that revolving fund for any other special assessments that come through. And we need to figure out the, how much we're going to, or where that the money is for seed money for those future SADs. And I don't wanna keep waiting on this.
Do you want to bring that up during the DDA presentation?
No,
Well, I was gonna say, it may give us more clout if we come together as two groups in front of the board and say, this thing's been languishing for a very long time. It was intended to be used. Yes, I know there's some strong opinions coming out of the DDA about it.
right, so that's why I wanna keep it. So they're gonna send it to Ally Norris, our finance director, and she's gonna pull it apart, and figure out going back in time and all the receipts, because they don't match up with whatever, and we'll leave it to her. And then when she comes back with her decision or whatever she has found, we'll go from there. But no matter what, it needs to be taken care of for future use. The resolution for lamplighter, pheasant, or lamplighter and Park Ridge, special assessment, the engineering cost to be returned. Pulled the file. I just need to pull, there's never been a resolution that I can find that is where I can kind of copy it, because it's a
Not been
return.
done. Where are the funds now? They were expended and then we're reimbursing out of general fund, or is there a kitty of funds that weren't spent?
No, it's been, well, it was, it's just the engineering cost, so that they've already paid their SADs in full, or the engineering cost in full under a SAD. So Washington Engineering already has that money. So we have to find somewhere to get that money. And I thought if there's anything left over, or no, there was something else that had come up. I can't remember what it was, but I thought maybe the money could come from there. But we'll have to make a decision, because that money belongs to those residents. They should not have been charged in the first place. So
Do you remember how much it is?
I didn't bring, one of them was 30,000 and the other one was like 19,000.
18 or 19.
Yeah.
So not nothing, but.
Where did it come from? The general funds.
Good.
And when we finance a SAD, where does that money come from? When
Well,
the city,
that's
when
what-
the township puts up money.
So how it's supposed to work is that the township revolving fund is supposed to pay for the SAD, the cost up front, and then
Where's the revolving fund come from?
the township in Public Act 188, the township can up to 3 mils from the general fund into the revolving fund. But when they created this back in 2008 or whatever, they didn't do it that way.
The revolving fund was funded with money from the sale of small parcels of land that were residual from the Jackson Road expansion. For example, down at Farmer Grants, when they had small pieces and parts that were left over
So where was that money deposited? Into the general fund, was it?
into the revolving fund,
Revolving.
which has never been spent.
Okay.
It was intended to be used for, there's a resolution that says.
So shouldn't this come out of the revolving? fund?
That's the question, and we don't even know that money, it may be,
The harder part is that the engineering that was done for Pheasant Drive and Park Ridge, ultimately, they decided not to proceed with SADs, so.
correct, and if they did, then it would be okay to charge them for
Yeah.
engineering.
We went through this months ago.
Yeah, so that's, special assessment is to raise the value, you know, blah, 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 but it wasn't. And not only that, those are public roads, so there shouldn't have been an outside engineer to do that because the road commission has their own department. Now, if it was a private road, that's a whole other ballgame, and we're gonna, and when we work on the policies and nuts and bolts for that, then we'll have to deal with that whole issue. So anyways, it needs to go back to them.
Law is very clear about that.
No, that is. Is there anything in the money that either was just returned? There was some small residual SAD funds hanging out in the tax, in the budget, when you looked at the numbers from SADs over the last 10 years. That,
From the township wide,
no, individual SADs.
if there's a surplus, it went back to.
I think Donna Palmer just got this straightened out last winter tax roll and it went back. There was like $600 and there was, just trying to figure out if there's a mechanism with the way that those funds were returned
Oh,
to copy in this instance.
actually, we did it for the township wide. And we could use that. That's right. And you're right, Rose Drive was one of them.
There was 2 or 3 and they had
Um,
just small amounts, but yet there was money in a fund that, you know, the law says it has to be returned. And it just hadn't been because it was literally more of an accounting cost than the amount that was left in fund. But
Thank you for that. Yeah, I forgot.
if you went into the 2022 budget, you'd see it.
Okay. Yeah, because there's, and of course, legal would have to review all of this anyway. But I remember that each parcel number would have to be at the top and, but there's a certain way, but that's, yeah, thank
Well,
you.
and this actually may become a 2024 budget item because it's not, it would have to be a resolution that would be adopted. But there's no money allocated towards the return of this in 2023's Scio budget.
Actually, I made sure for those two that it was in the budget.
What did you call it?
I don't remember. I don't know where they put it, but I made sure. I'll have to go back into the budget and look. But, and I don't know if it was just under general fund or if they had it in the roads or whatever, but
You allocated somewhere.
it's, yeah.
Good.
So that's,
That makes it easier to get it.
yeah, and then it would be, it's return on the winter tax bill, so that's why I want to get it going now, because that's coming up soon, faster than what, yeah. Well, that will be the next big thing, other than everything else we're working on here. And then the DDA roads, unless, I'm sorry, I'm moving ahead, and just interrupt me if you have anything to contribute.
It's good.
So the DDA roads, oh, that's where we're going to meet on,
On the 9th.
Yeah, and
Next Monday, we have
figure-
DDA meeting and Bob, Jillian and I created a subcommittee to go and collaborate.
and I'm gonna put your name in. I just forgot to, I mean, I thought,
It's fine.
you're already there.
Yeah, I don't care.
Well, I do, because it's important to have the details and who's involved. Is the township park on the agenda? Oh, you don't know yet. I'm sorry.
As
'cause
soon as I know, I suspect it will be.
Okay. I just wanna kind of gauge where we're gonna be, in the meeting there.
I can suggest that he put us on the agenda. I cannot tell him where to put us on the
Yeah,
agenda.
okay.
Although I did mention that other people were coming and taking time out of their day to do so, so maybe he took the broad hint.
You watching a movie over there?
No, we're setting your agenda.
Oh,
Very
okay.
carefully.
No, you're like,
They look too intense, don't they?
yeah, they're like,
Waiting
What
for
is it?
late breaking news.
Watching a baseball game.
They are up to mischief.
And then I did include the public outreach and communication plan, but that will be later on. Ah, especially after, when we have the millage request and then eventually when we have funding to keep up on letting people know, oh, okay, this is the list for the year and then, or for the season, and then as we get there to reach out to the neighbors. I was thinking, so they finished my neighborhood with
That was quick.
it was, because they kept saying October, and I thought there's no way they're gonna do those roads while, they're doing Jackson Road and then also Park Road and all of that, but they came in. And at first I was excited because they're in there, they're trimming the trees. So I email or text all my neighbors that I have there, and I said, okay, this is the week, close your windows, blah, blah, blah. And then they disappeared, they didn't come back. And I was like, okay. And then a couple weeks later, they're out there, they take, these backhoes and they just scrape along the berms, to make the berms. And so I'm texting all the neighbors. I'm like, this is it. And then they disappear again. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm not gonna reach out to anybody until the day that they're actually out there
But
with these
the
big.
point being made is the road commission did not reach out to your neighborhood either.
No.
It was stated that they were going to work on that road this summer at some point in time, and this is the piece where the social media and the Facebook and the next door would be lovely, but we have to get the road commission to give us accurate information before we disseminate
No, well, see,
information.
I don't think they're going to. They're just gonna give us like, okay, but going through this.
Somebody's got an agenda that says this week the road grader's going to Luella. I mean, somebody's gotta have.
So at the same time, I'm getting text messages from the lamplighter area because they're doing the work and they're freaking out because they're taking out lawn and sprinkler heads. And I'm like, okay, this is weird because they were told October as well. Anyway, so I'm keeping track of the process. It doesn't happen over 2 days. It happens over a couple of weeks and we need to make sure that we put that information.
So you like parachute a group in, they do their job and
Yes,
then
and then they
and then
disappear.
parachute the next group in when they're available.
Yes.
Weather dependent.
Yeah, and maybe that was it too, but they laid out the gravel with these big trucks, they shape all the houses and the windows. Then they come by and they roll it, and then it was like, that's how they're gonna leave it, because it's this much higher than driveways and whatnot. But then they came back at 2 weeks later, and then with the big rollers, and then they went along the sides and whatnot, so. And the odor of that gravel is just weird.
I think it's just you.
No, it's not, because,
Limestone is not that bad.
oh, yes, it is. Yeah,
It does smell.
it has this oily chemical and almost sweet at the same time. It's weird. So,
Is
So
that
are
the
your
brine?
neighbors happy?
Did they spray?
no, it's in the limestone, but once it
You
rains,
want double A with the sediments in it has the sediment, the very fine dust has a really strong odor when it's wet.
but now it seems to be fine. Yeah,
So
but it was pretty fascinating.
Are the good people in Luella happy? Mostly?
Yeah, but the one neighbor said, so the big pothole in front of her yard or her, well, it's right next to her driveway. So the neighbor down the road would come down with big wheelbarrow full of dirt or whatever and like fill it in. I'm like, well, it must make them feel better because it's not gonna work, but so that's gone. Yeah, I think they're pretty happy.
No one lost a mailbox or.
No complaints that way. Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't heard back from Lamplighter, but I think they're pretty happy now too. But it's the process of the construction, you've got to go through that and it's a little painful, but. Anyway, I was just thinking of the future when we have, our outreach that we need to, let people know it's a 4-part process.
It's almost like when they do the Halloween opening at the fire station or something like that.
Oh,
You want, because then you're getting people who live here going to visit and you kind of want something then and there, like, hey, just so you know. Unfortunately, Halloween's coming up fairly soon, so.
Well, I have a concept, and I don't know if it would work or not. Back in the olden days, when we used to go to trade shows, we had a trade show booth that you could set on a table that was a trifold and stick pictures and things to it with Velcro. I don't know that the fire department would care one way or the other if we asked if we could put a table on their tarmac
Yep.
the day that they were having their festival and make a, you know, gosh, we used to do it with Girl Scout cookies, get a big piece of paper and say road advisory committee table, come ask questions or
In
something.
the ESTF group, they have their,
Yeah, the
Um,
Meyer.
it's at Meyer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Is it the same day as that? They did it last
no,
year.
it's different, but they had it at the fire station last year, or here at Township Hall, one of the two.
It's a
And
bigger
now they've
thing.
decided,
Meyer.
yeah, they got a grant, and they're gonna do it over at Meyer. October 11th, but don't.
Oh, it's
quote me on
before
it.
the house. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Well, that's something we
Yep.
can,
But what do we promote?
get little bags of gravel. Get your road. Rocks.
Smelly limestone.
Here, snip it.
It's
Need the
sustainable.
most descriptive smell.
And we could, yeah,
Take your
again,
finger.
roads aren't sexy, you know, that's, I mean, we all need them, they're never gonna go away, and it's just one of those things we take for granted, but if we can get people to,
Goes horribly wrong, yeah.
yeah, right, until,
Well, I gotta go with roads aren't sexy, but we all need them, might be a tagline. You gotta grab them somehow.
What was it that Linden Township did? Roy brought something in, didn't he? A number of meetings ago.
oh, yeah. Oh, speaking of other townships, but
Public hearing.
it was, because they, yeah,
They were broadcasting something.
I think it was a millage.
Yeah, it might be,
He was describing because
but it was a play on words if I remember.
Roy sent it to us directly, I think.
and it was in the Sun-Time News as well, they announced it, and I just don't remember what it was. And speaking of other townships, Webster Township is watching our committee. They do not have a roads committee, but they are in the works of creating one, and they're using us as a model. So that was, yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, oh, the next, anything else regarding the action list?
It's nice to have that list just to remind us of what we need to be working on. It's
Thank
good
you.
touch stuff.
Yeah, keep, and it's nice to check something off when
Yeah,
we
right.
eventually get there. So memberships. So I had heard through, a little birdie that Mr. Klubeck here was interested in the road advisory committee. This is a while ago. So when Roy had resigned, I reached out to David. And he said that he was interested. So, you did apply through the website.
Yeah.
And that came through to the board, and then Will sent over, whatever else, because we can't. I don't know, the system, the board members can't see in the back end of it, but, or whatever, anyways, Will, Supervisor Hathaway sent it over, the rest to me. And then I reached out, and I'm glad that you had applied. And we haven't had anybody else apply, and I think if you have read through Mr. Klubeck's resume, he's very qualified. And he's willing to work, do some work for us.
You'll have 2 Ford people on here now.
Good, that's a good sign.
It's a nice way to give back. It's an important, we get some important things done and we have some fun.
The next step would be to create have a nomination to go in front of the board, and I will pull that together. And if we're all in agreement for Mr. Klubeck to be on the
Would it be okay to ask Mr. Klubeck why he's interested? And just like to hear his story.
Oh, sure.
30 years here. And I've been retired 7 years, 21 in the United States Army, 6 at Eastern Michigan University, and 17 at the Ford plant up on Michigan Avenue in Saline. And I just sold my project Corvette in February, and I have nothing to keep myself occupied and busy. And I just think growth is to the grave, and you're using acronyms and terms here that I'm unfamiliar with. And it's refreshing and it's enlightening because, you know, you get to the age and you kind of go, I know everything and I've got it all figured out. And then you say, well, what is GIS, you know, and what does that acronym stand for? And so just in sitting here this evening, it's been really refreshing and it's been illuminating and I've learned. So I want to give back and I want to learn and I want to impact.
So things you can do with us.
And the good news is I get an opportunity to work with the A team.
Well, thank you.
GIS is Geographic Information Systems. Just-
That's not in our,
Right,
in our nuts and bolts. It's a whole other, yes.
And I hate acronyms.
yeah.
So I'm always like, if you're gonna use an acronym, qualify it in a document, so. Another engineer. So. We have to put together a proposal to the board or a resolution.
It's just a nomination letter, and then, of course, the board has the final vote.
Does that mean though that we're like, we've got to wait until October to get that?
No,
Okay, that's.
the next board meeting
I'm
is,
trying to accelerate you through,
yeah,
so.
so September 10th is the next board meeting, and tomorrow, well, actually, everything was due today, but get that in, I can put that into the system tomorrow, and I'll just go back and find another resolution for nominations and just,
Do we need a vote of support? Would that help?
sure. Yeah,
Propose.
second, all in favor?
Third.
Aye,
Aye.
welcome.
Don't you love democracy?
Yes.
Super psyched to have you on. It'd be really good, so thank you.
I nominate him to be chair. No.
Our elections are till November. You have a minute to figure it out.
Whoever's, if you're absent, then you get elected to whatever we put you on. That's the rule, so. Great, okay, this is wonderful. Oh, and all our meetings are recorded, as you know. I think you watched a few,
Sure.
both in the Scio Community News and on the website. And anything that you need as far as history or past documents, we can just let us know as we're working together. Yeah, it's actually pretty fun. Only nerds allowed
I was
here.
gonna say,
for-
we're just geeky, but it's okay.
Yeah. All right, here it is.
Approval of minutes.
Approval of the minutes, and I didn't find anything.
Yeah. I move we support. I
Second.
move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Did you say move and support? Or- It's like, get through this. Okay,
Patrick and then Ian. There we go.
you got that. So, all in approval, say aye.
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 Aye. Oppose? Chris, you don't get a vote. That's it. Oh, reports, yeah.
Can we explain to David why Chris can't vote?
Oh, Chris is, he's our project manager for the township. He's not a member of any of the committees, so, I mean, he used to be before. When, he is a resident, so he used to, what,
Planning.
Planning
I'm on the
Commission.
Commission.
yeah, and then he, decided to work for the township. Yeah, So-
I'm an employee of the township, so I'm kind of their support. at several other meetings also,
But we're,
and committees.
we're sort of nominating him as the township liaison for people who have road questions and want to make special assessment districts in the future, so we're trying to train you.
That's where the flow chart comes in.
And he's been sitting on our nuts and bolts committee, helping us write through a document on how SADs work.
He worked, it was the city of Ann Arbor for
It's 27 years.
27, yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And in Ann Arbor, you don't have special assessments for roads.
No.
Because the city owns all the roads.
The
Right?
city doesn't own them because some of them are, you know, from their highways. I mean, the state would take care of them. But I can tell you, it's from the planning perspective, if there was any new development, it was on the developer that was going to be paving any dirt road in front of their proposal.
Okay. Yeah, so special, you're learning about special
Mhm,
assessments. in the
absolutely.
process.
This was.
That's
This
some
is new.
bedtime reading, isn't it?
Public Act 188,
Public Act 188. And the other one.
139.
That is great literature for her.
Yeah, that's fun.
It is in some of the meeting packets. You included it in some as education.
Yes, and we need to upload. Well, it'll be in the policies, but I was thinking, when I was looking for information to print, you know, the resolution, the policy, we have it on our website page, but we don't have Public Act 188 or 139, and maybe that should be a separate, but I don't know who would read it.
I was gonna say we could hyperlink it, but really, yeah, they're so dense.
It's tedious.
It would take a lot of room.
And she loves it. I don't get it.
Because I like to learn things.
So do I, but not reading that.
So, what?
So do I, but not reading that document.
All right, so in my report, we only had the one board meeting after our last, RAC meeting, so I put in the highlights. There's, if you wanted to, you know, read through the full, there's a link to it on the website. And nothing really pertaining to roads, other than so the interim manager search and, well, our IT, we have a new IT staff person, Julio Barros. Yeah, so that's about it. Manager Joyce Parker's leaving, her last day is September 12th. And we will go from there regarding, a future manager.
Says man, it's September 15th.
Well, it's a Sunday, but her last day in
Okay.
office.
Yeah, no worries.
Planning Commission, so the Parks Committee, do you sit in on the Parks Committee?
I do. Next Wednesday, 4 o'clock will be the next meeting.
Could you make sure, I think they have a report, so since Roy was giving us the reports or just minutes, if you could make sure that
Yeah.
you send the minutes to Patrick.
So what I've been doing is,
Website.
I just pull it off the website now,
Oh, okay,
and I do the same thing with DDAs.
okay, then we'll just do that.
And you know, all those minutes are relatively short.
Yeah, it gives us a gist of what's
Yeah.
going on.
Exactly right.
And
If anything is happening that affects us, we will know about it from those minutes.
yeah, and I'm just, whatever, trustee Riser gives us from, you know, when he attends the planning commission, I just swipe that.
My recollection from the last PPP meeting was the Scio Flyers were here and we were discussing the 3 conceptual plans for Township Hall Park. Mostly soccer fields were being proposed along with some natural playscapes. And how is that going to be coordinated with the Scio Flyers who have been there for 33, 34 years out there? So we took a lot of, you know, pros and cons from the conceptual plans and probably going back to the drawing board to see what's the best fit back there to try to keep as many residents happy along with the Flyers.
Well, and they did come in front of the board, or, Roy Townsend and Rita Clinthorne and Murphy Harrington, our new parks director. So they came in front of the board for a discussion and we sent it back and figured out, and when you have all the details, come back to us. Because and I know the DDA is involved, but there's things that need to be agreed upon. And then the Scio flyers and whatnot.
The EDA is involved, yes.
And the one, so the township focus is the Michigan Township Association magazine that the board receives. And I love these magazines. I read them from front to cover. They're more exciting than PA 188, but anyway, I'm going to scan this or I'm gonna print it and then have Christy scan it and then send it to the DDA and PPP. It's about risk management and they talk about when you have a park, let's say we have soccer fields, but we have to keep in mind that there's liability. What happens if somebody gets hurt? You know, there's a lot of questions that we have to ask before we even create a plan and maintenance and just different things like that. So this article covers a lot of those questions or what to look for and what to, not just for creating a park, but there's other things in here too. So I'll have Christy email this to the Parks and Pathway people, committee, not people, but the committee and also the DDA. Okay, let's see, anything else? There's the Watts newsletter. That was included and from, every month, and I think that's it regarding reports and discussion. What was there? There's another. Oh, and then the road commission sends emails to our committee, also to the board with, well, mostly to us regarding the projects that are happening or going to happen. And I couldn't find it. So I went to their website and I just printed off the latest updates, which I thought has more information than what they actually send us. So I think I'm going to include those during the monthly under educational information.
As a citizen, I found the ones we get on a regular basis very informative and helpful. Just when you see a project is coming on, you know how to redirect yourself.
So are those different than what we receive?
That's what I'm thinking is what we received.
The auto mailers that we
Okay.
get from
Yeah.
the county.
But I wonder if there's some way you can put that on the website so that people can actually.
We do.
We do, okay.
Well, we have a link.
Okay,
We're encouraging people to sign up for those.
okay, because they're very informative.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes too many a day.
Yes, that's the other thing. I get excited when I get an email to RAC and then they're all road commission stuff. I was like, okay. And even from other townships, which I guess if you travel outside of Scio, those are good. Okay, let's see. Anything else for discussion or comes to mind? No?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, well then we're second public comments. There's only one person in.
No?
Anyone online?
Yeah, well, Pam and Rob are still online. And I think your wife may have been online briefly, but
Flying out.
I admitted her, but then she left again, so.
She saw I was really here and then she left.
She didn't see you sitting here.
She's like, did they accept him? I'm sick of him being at home.
If you'd like to make public comment, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I think we're done.
No? Okay,
I don't see any hands raised.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
7:39.
That
There we
may be the shortest meeting we've ever had.
Yeah, hour and 9 minutes. Next meeting, Wednesday, October 2nd at 6:30.
Second.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
I am going to be in Ireland, and I'll be at the meeting, but collecting the information.
Oh,
Now I can
Okay.
put it on my calendar and try to remember to do it.
After you're in Ireland, it's gonna be.
Well,